He says to John, he said, tell him the lame are walking. He said, tell him the blind eyes are open. Tell him the deaf ears are unstopped, but tell him I'm not coming to get him out. He says, tell him I'm not coming to get him. Have you ever served God and it looked like he delayed coming to get you, and you and him had a bond in the beginning? But here's what he was trying to say to John is, I'm not coming to get you because it takes more faith for a resurrection than it does for a healing. And the real deal is this: if I get healed, I can get sick again. But if I ever die, I never have to die again. And so the reason that I'm still living at this moment is because one glad morning, I don't have a church here, when this life is over, I'm going to fly. He leaves that story. Then the centurion shows up and says to him, he said, will you come and heal my servant? He goes with the centurion, goes to the house. The centurion said, don't come all the way in my house. He said, just send your word and my servant shall be healed. Because sometimes the person that I need you to get to doesn't want to see you, but if you can send a little word into my address, then the person that I'm believing God for, you can turn this around. Do me a favor, find somebody that look a little churchy tonight and tell them he'll send one word and clean up your whole family. He'll send one word and turn everything around in your bank account. He'll send one word and fix your job. Tell your neighbor, I don't need anything else. Just give me a word. If I can get a word, I can get some work out of it. All I need is one word from God. That's all. Chapter 8, when we come to chapter 8, you find he starts talking to the disciples about a sower going forth and sowing seed. The seed that is being sown is the word of God. While the seed is being sown, he says that comes up thorns and chokes out one word. There's another one that falls amongst the rocks. And he said, there's another one that falls in good soil. What is he trying to tell us? We can all be in the same service and not receive the same thing. He's trying to tell us that your attention span when God is talking has to be so focused that no matter what happens when you leave here, that nothing else can destroy what you heard in your spirit. Because there have been services you probably have been to that right after you got in the parking lot, the enemy came after what was deposited in your spirit. But you got to hold on so that as of tonight, I'm not losing anything that I hear. Whatever God said, I know I can have it. And because I can have it, I'm not letting anything or anybody steal it. Tell your neighbor, you ain't taking the word from me tonight, not this one. He then says to them, be careful how you hear. Be careful how you hear. One of the dangers with us is we listen to everybody and don't discern anybody. We listen to everything that everybody says, but forget the principles that we were brought up in. Because everybody doesn't cook the meal that you were brought up on. I don't know, my mother's not here tonight, but if she were, she would remind me we don't eat at everybody's house because everybody's not as clean as we are at home. I want to talk. And the problem is we got a lot of chefs in the kitchen who got dirty hands, but they serving big dishes. And there's a lot of people who are cooking up things that don't even come out of the Bible. It's crazy because you got a crowd, but you have no Christ. I don't want to mess up. It's amazing that people are following you and you don't even know where you're going. I want somebody that's stable enough in the word so that when I get in trouble, if I can't reach my pastor, I can still reach him myself. I wish I had churches here tonight. I'm glad for churches like this that know how to stand on the word even when nobody else I think they know how. He said, be careful how you hear. You got to watch what you're hearing and who you're hearing it from. Because we got motivational speakers. We don't have a whole lot of preachers left. We got people who know how to put it together and get us emotional but don't know how to get us delivered. And it's hard to get us delivered without the doctrine, but you're not going to help me preach tonight. Take it and say, take me back to the Bible. I want to go back to the book that got us delivered. You remember back in the day when you could come to church and your demon couldn't hide in the 5th row. But now demons are hiding in the choir stand. They're hiding in the pulpit. They're hiding in the musician section. You can take it and say, I want to go to a place where when demons come in the room, they tremble and they go back out. The crazy thing is now, the church don't come to church, the demons are coming. And they're more comfortable in church than we are. hear, you got to be careful because you can't connect to everybody. Yeah, you can't connect to everybody. And I found out that the wrong fuel will stop you right in the middle of the road. Okay, my son decided to drive my truck, and he did, and I told him he could, but I forgot to tell him that my truck doesn't take regular gas. So he called me proud because he filled up my truck. But he paid the wrong price for what he was driving. And see, what keeps happening is that we got people who are trying to put regular unleaded in your premium dreams, and that's the problem when you're stuck at. You're only stuck because they gave you something that your dream can't handle. And I realized it later when I said, where are you? Don't move. We got to get rid of what you got full of so that you don't hurt yourself. So I wonder if some of us are stuck because we're full of the wrong thing. Okay, well, he said, watch how you hear. I'm almost done. He said, watch how you hear. Then he leaves, and about verse 22, it reads like this. And it came to pass on a day, he said to his disciples, let us go to the other side. I found out, as you go to that, every time if you go look when Jesus talks to the disciples and tells them, let's go to the other side, or let's go, or you go across the lake, it was after they had exhausted where they were and had become complacent and comfortable in their gifting. Go read it. You're going to find out that every time the disciples got comfortable, he would shake them up with a transition. Because we can get so comfortable in our gift that we forget to pray. Let me turn back around. We can get so comfortable in our gift that we forget to come to church. We can get so comfortable in our gift that we forget to fast. We forget to pray. We forget to study. Watch this. We forget to love one another. We can become so great in our gift that we forget whose we are for real. Jesus says to the disciples, let us go to the other side. Because where you are, you're not going to grow anymore because you're no longer challenged here. And sometimes the only way to get you to move is for you to realize you are too comfortable to be creative. There's a moment when you can be so comfortable that your creativity leaves because you've gotten so good at what you do that you don't have to practice anymore at what it is you learned in the beginning. He says to them, let us go to the other side. When he says that they get in the ship, the text reads like this, and as they begin to sail, he fell asleep. As they begin to sail, he fell asleep. He being Jesus goes to sleep. Matthew's gospel doesn't just say he went to sleep. It says he went to sleep on a pillow, which means you planned to go to sleep. Nobody brings a pillow if you're not going to take a nap. Nobody. So my problem tonight, and let me see if I can find some people who have been called by God, is I want to find out if you've really been called, and this is how you know. You don't know you've been called because of how good you are at it. You know you've been called when he calls you and stops talking to you. Because there are moments when he doesn't give you any more information. He just gives you direction without giving you follow-up direction. And so now it makes you second guess. Did you really mean to call me? Because you ain't said nothing else to me. You told me my name would be great, but you didn't tell me I had to go through hell to get there. You didn't tell me how bad it was going to be. You didn't tell me that they weren't going to like me because you called me. We're almost there. Watch now. Because he calls them, tells them go to the other side, and he's in the boat with them. But the Bible says, my God, that he falls asleep. Have you ever gotten in the car with anybody to take a trip, and they said to you, we get ready to take this road trip, and then the road partner say, on the ship. The text reads like this, a little more, that while he is asleep, watch this, he doesn't go to sleep after the storm. He goes to sleep before the storm. Now, if he is who I know he is, then you knew this was coming. Why didn't you tell me that this was coming? You called me but would not inform me. Because if you had told me that me being called would mean that friends would turn their backs on me, I would have had to renegotiate my contract with you. If you had told me that family was going to lie, I would have had to renegotiate my contract. If you told me I was going to lose my money, I would have put more away knowing that I was going to lose it. But you said you would supply my needs, but didn't tell me that I was not going to have anything. The Lord give it and the Lord take it away. Blessed, you didn't tell me about this. You ain't tell me this. Jesus he sleeps. He big sleep. The text reads like this. We almost there. The text reads like this, says that he is asleep in the ship. The disciples are in jeopardy. A storm comes down on the lake. Water is in the boat. Yeah. It's amazing how good boats are when they're in the water and how bad they are when water gets in them. But watch this. He's in the boat. He's asleep.